Mary-louise from Sydney. She's an advisor to the WHO and the professor of epidemiology. Mary-louise, as always, thanks so much for coming in on the show. I mean, what would make the companies change their minds?
Well, they have to understand where their obligations are. I mean, really, it's all about commercial precedents overcoming public health requirements. And there's really two questions that need to be asked about whether or not we should be doing that. Is one, can we ask them to give over the intellectual property, the patent? And two, should it happen? First of all, yes, we can ask them to do this because we have in the past during wartime. Governments have often asked pharmaceutical companies and others to give up their IP, to give up money that they make out of selling equipment or drugs and treatments. And really, should they do this? Absolutely. From my perspective as an epidemiologist, yes, they have to start thinking about doing this. There's only one downside, is that this might stop pharmaceutical companies from doing innovative work and doing blue sky research, because they may feel that one day the governments will ask them to give up their IP. But this is a pandemic that we haven't seen for a long time. I mean, we saw polio pandemic.
Right.
In the 1960s.
It is unprecedented time. So is it time for governments to bring in legislation to ensure these ethical practices by pharmaceutical companies in situations like this, like in this pandemic? Can they ask them to change the legislations?
They can ask them because it's done before, and yes, they should ask them, because we're not safe until we're all safe, and we're certainly not safe until the low socioeconomic countries can start producing the vaccine, and they can't start producing it unless they know how to. So it's now time to come together as a global community and start sharing. People will look after the pandemic has finished at pharmaceutical companies that are not sharing their IP as basically selfish and only looking for the bottom line. And they don't want to have that reputation at the end, because mostly the governments and people will shun them. So it's time, and it's a moral imperative.
Mary-louise, thanks so much for that. She's an advisor to the WHO and a professor of epidemiology. Thanks so much, Mary-louise.